And hello, everybody. Welcome back. Once again, I'm Nicodemus Kane, and this is part 2 of our little talk about giants, Nephilim. The eem means something. The eem usually is used. They say it's usually used whenever you're talking about angels, seraphim, cherubim. What was the other one? I can't think of the other ones. Definitely seraphim and cherubim. Seraphim, interestingly enough, seraph is the Egyptian word for snake. These are snake angels. Puts a whole new twist to the serpent in the garden. Anyways, I am Nicodemus Kane. We are back once again. That was a heck of an intro, wasn't it? We're talking about Nephilims. We're talking about giants. We're talking about the reason I started this whole thing was I wanted to get away from current events and start getting back into studying the stuff that I was studying before the C virus destroyed everything. Or no, I should say the government decided to destroy everything because of the C virus. And the first thing I did was I ran headlong into a video from a guy that was absolutely disputing the sons of God and the Nephilim thing. If it sounds a little weird, I don't know if you're going to hear it in the background or not. I have my fan on right now because I got really worked up because I was doing the video before this, and I was kind of getting kind of hot and talking, and it's hot down here for some reason. I don't know why, but I got the fan on now. I feel a little bit better. But as I was watching this, I had questions. I had a lot of questions. I was like, but you're not talking about this. You're not talking about that. And why does the Bible say this when you clearly want it to say this? And he was going on about poetic literature, and this is stuff I talked about in the previous videos. And I had questions. I really had questions. I was looking at my notes. I'm not looking at anything else that's weird. Just looking at my notes. And I was trying to figure it out because God, I even have that written down here too. God is not the author of confusion. He is not. And this guy was confusing me. He was really confusing me. The guy had some good points. I talked about some good points that he had. But on the same token, there were just some things that just didn't make any sense. So we're going to keep talking about that. So the last thing, I'm going to pull this up here. Did this pop up? Yes, it is. I wanted to show you guys this. In the last video, I had some problems pulling this up. This is the Strong's for the evil report. This was this Numbers 1332. I think it's interesting that 1333, nice numerology, is in there. We saw the giants, the son of Anak, which come of the giants. It's amazing that a lot of the scripture numbers in the Bible, when it talks about giants, are their numbers. Like especially like Revelations 9:11. This is 1333. There's another one that's a 9:23. I don't know, or 6:23. I don't remember which one it was. I'd have to look it up. Anyways, but this was the one where the guys that they went down to the land of Canaan whenever Moses came to it, and God said, send out some people to find out what's going on. And they came back and they had the cluster of grapes. I talked about the grapes. They had one cluster of grapes straddled between a staff between two guys. That's how big these grapes were. And they came back and they said, well, these guys, they live in these great big cities with these great big walls. It's the Hittites, the Jebusites, the Amorites, the Jebusites, the Amalekites, and whatever, yada, yada, yada. And they said, and they brought up, this is 1332, and they brought up an evil report of the land which they had searched unto the children of Israel, saying, the land through which we have gone to search it, a land that eateth up its inhabitants thereof, which means they're cannibals, and all the people that we saw in it are men of great stature. And there we saw the giants. So we were talking about an evil report. I said, well, that means that they were telling a lie. That's the way that the guy in the video was describing it as. These guys were lying in order to keep the Israelites going down there because they were scared. And what they did was they scared the rest of the people so that nobody wanted to go. And God said, okay, if you don't want to believe me, then fine. Snapped his fingers and these guys died. All these guys, there was a plague or something that went through the Israelites, and everybody that didn't believe died. So I was like, well, it was a lie, is what it was. And all these people lied and they died for it. So I looked up I finally got it to pull up. My computer's still acting like crap. But this is the Evil Report, 1681. This H1681 originates from 1680. Since for the moment, it's a slander. It's defaming. It's an evil report. Infamy, slander, whispering, defamation, evil report, whispering, defamation, defaming, evil report, unfavorable saying. They didn't bring up a lie of the land. They brought up a defamation of the land, defaming report of the land. They told a story of the land that made it look evil. Not a lie. They told a story of the land that made it look evil. They defamed the land. They said that the land held giants and men of great stature, which you can defame somebody and there still be truth in it. They didn't outright lie. This didn't say that they lied to do it. They brought up an evil report. You get it? They brought up gossip. Gossip is not always a lie. Again, you take it however you want. Take it however you want. You go with it however you want. You know me, I'm going with the understanding that they just came down and said, oh, hey, by the way, there are giants down there, and we appeared to them like they're grasshoppers. And I already went through that too, where I said that the guy that did the video said that, you know, it's just poetic literature. That's all it was. Oh, they were so big that we look like grasshoppers. And I did the whole thing. This is the size of a grasshopper. I've never met a guy that's been so big that I said, man, I look like a grasshopper to that dude. And the tallest guy in the world, or the last recorded tallest guy in the world, was 10 feet tall. If I ever saw the guy 10 feet tall, I don't know if I would think that I was a grasshopper to him. It's like the cedars. We talked about the cedar at the height of the cedars. We talked about my buddy's dad, Big Bob. He was 6'7", 6'8". I don't know how tall he was. I never once stood beside him and said, boy, you're as tall as a tree. Never. The book goes out of its way to describe these people. So that's just an understanding of how big they were trying to make it be. Now, you don't have to believe it. You can go with poetic license all you want, and I'm not going to sit and argue with you. I'm not an expert. I'm nowhere near an expert. When I started this whole journey, one of the things that brought me into this, which I've talked about before, was flat Earth, and you can shut the video down right there if you want to say, oh, he's just a flat earther, fuck him, I don't want to listen to him anymore. Sorry if I cussed, but you can shut the video down right now because it doesn't matter to me. I see what I see. If you want to talk about it, I'll talk about it. I'll talk about anything you want to talk about. I am not scared to talk about it because it's just what I see. If you want to sit there and blast me for it, hey, that's fine too. I've had plenty of guys that have blasted me for this. I don't care because it's what I see. It's what I understand now. I'm more than happy to talk about it. But I started there, and then I ran headlong into Rob Skiba. Now, if you go into Rob Skiba's Nephilim accounts and you listen to him, and when you take what he says and then go do the book work yourself, it stacks. It adds up, and it's like puzzle pieces, and it's like that makes more sense than what other people say. And again, like this guy that I watched the video of, he was doing such crazy mental gymnastics to be able to make his real world experience fit with the sons of Seth, and that there were no angels that came down. Now, I don't know. I don't know for sure what happened. That's something that we're going to find out at the very end. I don't know. You know, I'm just going by the book because, like I said, I could go through these things. I got all my books here. I could go through these monsters, you know, and I could say there were giants, giants. I could do that all day. I could say this proves it right here. This proves it right here. But nobody wants to do this. Nobody wants to take a look at these because they're not scripture. And that's fine. If you don't want to do that, that's fine. So I'm going to use scripture. I'm going to use the actual Bible, KJV. I'm going to use the actual Bible, and we're going to talk about it. And if you think that KJV is corrupt, then hey, that's fine too. Turn the video off. At this point, I am only talking to those people that are willing to listen, because you got to be willing to listen to me. Yeah. I'm getting nutty. I'm starting to get nutty. So anyways, let me pull this. I see here, where were we at? Deuteronomy, Amos, we were talking about cedars. Yes, okay, so here we go. So the next thing that was going on with this guy in this video talking about the sons of Seth, he was saying, what was it? Angels being physical. Okay, so this guy went out of his way to say that angels were spiritual because they live in the spirit, and spiritual things are spiritual and physical things are physical. I think that was something that Jesus actually said in the New Testament. So this guy was saying, well, there's no way they could be physical. There's no way that they could touch you, that they could have sex, that they could do this, that they could do that. Okay, fine. Fine. But I can prove you wrong. Angels can be physical. Angels, I can't tell if they can breathe, but they can eat and they can drink. They can touch you. They can physically touch you. What else can they do? They can talk to you. They can smite you with diseases and blindness. They can do these things to you. They can physically touch you. If they can physically touch you, they can physically do dirty work. You know what I mean? So, and it's there. It's there in a book. I don't need these books over here to be able to prove that. It's in the book. It's flat out in the book. As I was listening to this guy, I just kept saying, well, what about, you know? But he just seemed like the kind of guy that I don't know if he'd want to talk to me or not. I don't know if he'd want to have this conversation. If he could prove me wrong, then hey, that's cool. I am more than willing to admit, and I'm trying. That was pretty bad. I am more than willing to admit that if I'm wrong on this, then I'll change. I'll change my beliefs on it because it's not so absolutely ingrained into my system. This is what brought me to God. You can go on all day about NASA all you want, but flat Earth brought me to God. You can think 9/11 was real all you want, but false flags brought me to God. You know, I don't know what else to say to that. I really don't know what to say to that. You can try to convince me. And if you can convince me, if you can give me 100% undeniable proof, something that I can look at and I can say, oh, well, hey, there it is. And I can't go look at the book myself or can't look at the whatever it is myself and see a problem. If I can see a problem, then there's a problem and we have to talk about it. But if you can give me something 100% that I can look at it and say, okay, I understand what you're saying now. Let me adjust accordingly. I'm that kind of guy. But if you can't do it, then we got to talk, and that's what we're doing. We're talking. This is us talking. But there are just some people, they just don't want to do that. They don't want to live with it. They want to just call you names and point you out and tell you that you're a, what was the exact word? I know I had the term fucktard. What was the other one? I love the one the one comment I had. Somebody actually wrote the comments. All he wrote was a comment. Who the fat are you? Really? Did you even watch the video, or are you just gonna talk about my weight? You know, that's cool, man. You can talk about my weight all you want. I'll tell you what, I still got more ladies than you did, probably. I'm just saying. I'm not trying to brag about that. I'm just that's guys want to do that. It just forgive me, Father, for being the way I am. Okay, here we go. We're gonna get back into the fucked up. No, we're not locked up. What happened? Did it not lock up? What happened there? That was weird. I hope we're still recording. I want to keep going as if we're still recording because it's the numbers are still going. I did not get the notification that we skipped any frames, so I want to keep going. Like I said, my computer's getting weird. Let me get rid of that. Maybe it'll help. I already said the new updates kind of did stupid stuff to my Chrome. I'm looking, we're still there, so I'm just gonna keep going. Hopefully I don't lose all this. Here, let me close some of these out. This is Genesis 6. We're gonna get rid of that because we already talked about that. This is 2 Samuel 21. We're gonna get rid of that because we already talked about that. Maybe this, like I said, maybe this will help us. This is about Og. We'll get rid of that. This is Amos. This is where they were talking about the height of the cedars. Let's get rid of that. And now we're at Hebrews. This is Hebrews 13. It said, let brotherly love continue. Be not forgetful to entertain strangers, for thereby some have entertained angels unaware. Say what? Some have entertained angels unaware. We've entertained angels without knowing it. They were down with us in spirits or physically, and we didn't know. So what in the world? You know? What's going on there? I just want to check to make sure that it looks good. So what does that mean? What does that mean that we've entertained angels unawares? We have to entertain strangers. That's what it says. Entertain strangers. Well, Genesis 18. And this is Abraham. And the Lord appeared unto him, Abraham, in the plains of Mamre, and he sat in the tent door in the heat of the day. And he lifted up his eyes and looked, and lo, 3 men stood by him. And when he saw them, he ran to meet them from the tent door and bowed himself toward the ground, and said, My Lord, if now I have found favor in thy sight, pass not away, I pray thee, from thy servants. Abraham knew what was going on. Let a little water, I pray you, be fetched, and wash your feet, and rest yourselves under a tree. And I will fetch a morsel of bread, and comfort ye your hearts, and that for after that ye shall pass on, for therefore are ye come to your servants. And they said, So do as thou hast said. And Abraham hasted to the tents, yada, yada, yada. He ran to the herd and fetched a calf tender and good, gave it to a young man, and he dressed it. He took butter and milk, calf, and he dressed, and he set it before them. This is interesting, though. Okay, this has nothing to do with giants, but I find it interesting that right here it says he took butter and milk and the calf which he had dressed and set it before them, and he stood by them under the tree. One of the laws that bugs me that people constantly go after is the not mixing milk with meat. Now, from what I've read in the law, I never read anything where it says mix milk with meat. It says do not mix the meat of the calf or the meat of the lamb with the mother's milk. But it never says mix milk with meat. It's very strange that people do that. It seems like it doesn't match the scripture. Now, I don't know. It's a very hard thing to go through, and I haven't looked into it. I know whenever we started doing Passover, when we started doing Passover, one of the things that Angie brought up was she said, well, we can't mix milk and meat. And I was like, where does it say that? She said, well, it says right here, you can't mix. And I read it and I said, no, it says, do not mix the meat of whatever it is with the mother's milk. I don't know what that means. It doesn't say milk, it says the mother's milk. Maybe there's something very specific about the mother's milk. I don't know. I've gone out of my way to not do that anyways, because I've come to find out as I've gotten older that mixing meat and milk just doesn't do it for me. When I was a kid, we used to do it all the time. And you'd have a glass of milk with, hamburgers or whatever. Nowadays, it doesn't work for me. It's like pork. It's like my body has become pork intolerant. So it's very easy for me to give up pork. Just saying, turkey pepperoni is pretty amazing. I'll tell you what, beef hot dogs are incredible. I'll tell you what. And I feel better. I don't feel so fat and bloated when I eat pork, or when I used to eat pork. That's a totally different thing. We're not going to go there, but I just found it interesting. I'm sorry. We're going to go back. I know I do this. I get off on these tangents. Anyways, and he said unto them, where's Sarah thy wife? And certainly at the according time. But they said that Sarah your wife shall have a son. And Sarah heard it, and she laughed. And of course, and the men rose from thence and looked toward Sodom, and Abraham went with them to bring them on the way. And the Lord said, shall I hide from Abraham that thing I do, seeing that Abraham shall surely become a great and mighty nation, and all the nations of the earth shall be blessed in him. For I know that he will command his children. Okay, but what happened here? What happened here was that, there it was. And he took all of this stuff, and he set it before them, and he stood by them under the tree, and they did eat. The spirits of, this may very well be God himself. There were 3 of these. 2 of them went to Sodom and Gomorrah, but 3 of them came to Abraham. And these are back to back. Genesis 18 and Genesis 19. They're back to back. This is Abraham serving angels food. And they ate. You get it? See how it works? Am I wrong? If I'm wrong, then please tell me. I know it doesn't specifically say angels. It says 3 men. Were they inside of 3 men? Well, then, if they were inside of 3 men, if these spirits inhabited 3 men, then yes, angels in spirit can inhabit men and have babies. It works both ways. I'm not saying it is what it is. I'm not saying it isn't what it isn't. You can have your own opinion on it. But my biggest thing was the guy in the video was talking about it could not be the sons of God could not be angels because angels cannot physically procreate. Therefore, the angels could not make giant babies. My thing is, they can physically eat with Abraham. And if they were not physical, if they can take over men's bodies, the same way that devils can take over bodies. Because right here it says, and the Lord went his way as soon as he left communing with Abraham, and Abraham returned to his place. That means the Lord was with them. The Lord was with them in all of this. More than likely, the Lord was one of the 3. And the Lord appeared unto him. And he lifted his eyes. We're talking about Abraham. And he lifted his eyes, and lo, 3 men stood by him. When he saw him, he ran to meet him. And the Lord appeared unto him. So wait, was the Lord... How does it work? I mean, am I backwards? Was the Lord with Abraham, and then Abraham happened to see three people, and because God, was there, he decided to feed these three guys? I mean, is that the way it worked? Or were these three guys the angels that God sent to Sodom and Gomorrah? Am I wrong? If I'm wrong, correct me. Please, correct me. But I don't need this to prove that angels can be physical. No, Genesis 19. Genesis 19, and there came two angels to Sodom. If I was completely wrong about everything in that last chapter, then this chapter it's kind of like a knock out of the park. And two angels came to Sodom. This literally says two angels came to Sodom, and Lot sat in the gate of Sodom. And Lot, seeing them, rose up to meet them and bowed his face toward the ground. And he said, they wanted to come into the city because they were on a mission from God to find, even 10 people. I think that's what it was. Even 10 people in the city that were good. And then Lot said, "You can't do this because this is a pretty wicked ass city." So they said, "No, we'll just stay on the street." And he said, "No, you need to come to my house." Yeah. And he made him a feast, and he did bake unleavened bread, and they did eat. Angels can physically eat food. Can they eat in spirit? Maybe, possibly. But if they can eat, they're physical. But maybe they can just eat. Maybe they're like a robot. They can eat and it just goes through and it's like nothing. Okay, fine. Before they lay down, the men of the city, even the men of Sodom, compassed the house round, both old and young, all the people from every quarter. They knew that there were two angels in Lot's house. And they said, "We want to get in there and get them." Why is that? What's up with that? It just could have been two regular dudes. Could have been two regular guys, but everybody in Sodom came out, young and old, all the men, young and old, came out. And they called on Lot, and they said unto him, "Where are the men which came in to thee this night? Bring them out unto us, that we may know them." Quotation marks, know them. And Lot went out at the door unto them, shut the door after him. I want to check and make sure this is still doing. Yes, it is. He said, "I pray unto you, here, have some daughters, have two daughters that have not known men. Take my daughters, but leave these guys alone." Lot knew who these guys were. The people outside knew who these guys were because they really wanted to get these guys. And they were like, "No, we don't want the daughters." And said, "No, we want to." This one fellow came into sojourn, and he will needs be a judge. Now will we deal worse with thee than with them? And they pressed sore upon the man, even Lot, and came near to break the door. But the men, the angels, the men that were in the house, put forth their hand and pulled Lot into the house to them and shut the door. And they smote the men that were at the door of the house with blindness, both great and small. So they wearied themselves to find the door. Here we go. Here we go. We're doing this. Okay, here we go. Lot brings these people into his house. He feeds them. The entire city comes to Lot's house and said, "Give us the two guys that came in here." Lot says, "No, I'll give you my daughters." There's a thing on the screen, and it will not go away. There you go. "No, we're not going to take your daughters." So they pressed on to Lot. They were coming to get him, to kill him so that they could get into the house. Then the men in the house grabbed Lot physically. Can they be physical? Can angels be physical? Are they just spirits? Can they grab him in the spirit and pull him back in? It says that they grabbed him and pulled him back in. And then they decided to smote everybody outside of the house with blindness so that they wearied themselves trying to get into the house. Let that roll around for a second. I have only heard like one or two other guys say, "Did you catch that? They wearied themselves to get into the house." That means after these angels physically smote all of these men of Sodom, with blindness. These guys are blind outside the door. They wearied themselves. They worked themselves down so much trying to still get into this house after these guys. That's how important it was to the people of Sodom to get to these two angels. I think it was Rob Skiba that said, why? They had to have known what it was to have an angel. He was saying there was some other book, and we're not going to go too far into it, but there was some other book that said that the kings of Sodom weren't doing so well at the time. There was something else in the Bible itself, I think, that said that they were at a war with each other, and they may have been looking for soldiers. The best soldiers you can have are giants. And if you know that there's two angels that are in the town, if you can force those angels to have sex with women, you're going to create more giants. Puzzle pieces, man. This whole thing is about puzzle pieces. Putting the puzzle pieces together. Am I saying that's what it is? I'm not going to go there. But what the book says, word for word, is that they can physically touch you, they can physically eat, they can physically smote you. And boy howdy, did the people of Sodom have a hard-on for getting these angels. There's something more to it than just spiritual beings of the spirits just being there. There's more. There's something more to spirit being spirit and flesh being flesh. We don't have to know what it is, because that might not be for us to know. God only lets us know what God lets us know, and that's puzzle pieces. So that proves without a doubt, inside the Bible itself, angels can be physical. If angels can be physical, they can go out and they can do whatever they want to with women. They can somehow manifest that. That's a thing. That's a thing. So it's possible. It's absolutely possible. I'm not saying that they did, and again, I'm not saying that it was what it was, because it said that the giants could have very well been there before the sons of God came down and made it with the women and created giants. You know, the and see, that's the thing too. I didn't even think about that. I personally didn't even think about that. Genesis says there were Nephilim on the earth in those days. The fallen one on the earth, and the fallen ones on the earth in those days, when the sons of God came down to the daughters of men, and they bare children to them, which became the men renowned. So that's, if we're talking about the sons, the children of the sons of God being Nephilim, then that sentence says that they couldn't have been there before the sons of God. See, it doesn't make sense. You have to do some serious mental gymnastics in order to make that sentence go the way you want it to go. The sentence says, there were giants on the earth in those days when the sons of God came down, and yada, yada, yada. That's what it says. They created the Nephilim. They created these giants. It was angels. It came down. They didn't keep their estates. They were locked up. I don't remember what. I don't even know if I have it pulled up here. No, this is about other stuff. No, I do not have it. I'm going to get rid of that. I'm going to get rid of that. I'm going to get rid of that. I'm going to bring you guys back into this. But that was something else that was saying, I think Peter said it, maybe, or Jude. I don't remember. Let me see in my notes. Might have been Hebrews. No, it wasn't Hebrews. I don't have it written down specifically. Jude, it says the cast down. Jude and 2 Peter. Jude 1:6 and 2 Peter 2:4 says that the angels were cast down, they kept not their first estate, or something to those, some words to those effect. The angels, plural, not just Lucifer. Angels, plural, because of what they did. They did something. They did something pretty bad. They did something pretty bad enough that God really didn't like them. So they cast them down and put them in chains because of what they did. Now, if you follow it again, the sons of God came down and made it with the women, created Nephilim, ruined the whole gene pool. You done screwed up the pinball machine. But if you put it all together, it fits. It works. With everything else, they can be physical. They can, what was the other things I wrote down? Gluttony angels. Angels can be physical. We appeared as grasshoppers. How can kissing cousins genetically create giants? I mean, it all just, it's all there. It's all there. You have to go through some serious mental gymnastics in order to make it work, and God is not the author of confusion. This fits way better than anything else. You don't have to believe it if you don't want to believe it. You can go back to believing whatever you want. I can't tell you what to believe and what not to believe. All I can do is put you on that path, and if you go that way and if you find out, that's on you. If not, that's fine too. I'm just saying this stuff in order to find somebody else because the only way that I was able to wake up to it was that somebody else talked about it and just pointed it out. And I was able to say, oh, hey, that's a thing. So that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm trying to do, is I'm trying to wake other people up. The other thing, this is just a random little thing. The other thing that bothered me about this whole deal, there's this little thing. This is 1 Corinthians. This is 11. Be ye followers of me, even as I also am in Christ, and I praise you, brethren. Remember me in all things, and keep the ordinances as I deliver them to you. But I would have you know that the head of every man is Christ, and the head of every woman is the man. The head of Christ is God. Every man praying or prophesying, having his head covered, dishonoreth his head. That means every man praying or prophesying, having his head covered, dishonoreth his head. Do not cover your head if you're a man. But every woman that prayeth or prophesieth with her head uncovered dishonoreth her head, for that is even all one as if she were shaven. So that means when women pray, they should cover their head. Why? Well, for if the woman be not covered, let her also be shorn. But if it be a shame for the woman to be shorn or shaven, let her be covered. Keep your head covered if you're a woman. For man, indeed, yada, yada, yada. But the woman is the glory of a man. The man is not of the woman, but the woman of a man. It was a man connected with a woman. It's a lot of poetic stuff. For this cause ought the woman to have power on her head because of the angels. What does that mean? For this cause ought the woman to have power on her head because of the angels. But why because of the angels? What power does the woman have to have? And I'm looking to see if there's anything else. I think there's another passage somewhere around there. What power does the woman have to have over her head to keep it covered, to keep her hair away, to keep her beauty covered up from the angels? Why? Is it a warning? Just questions. There's nothing definite there. There's nothing definite there at all. It's just a question as to why that's a thing. Because that one sticks out to me as well. He specifically says, if not for the angels, or because of the angels, that women should cover their hair, because the sons of God saw how beautiful they were, and yada, yada, yada. I don't know. You put that puzzle piece together. That's just one of them puzzle pieces that you just have to, kind of, do it for yourself. So one last thing I'm going to do, and hopefully this thing will load up. And see, it came in quick. I'm thinking maybe Bible Gateway is just a really heavy heavy website. I don't know. So we did Numbers 13, where it was at the very end where they said they brought an evil report of the land. So that it continues right into Numbers 14, and this is where I had the worst problem with the guy that was making this video. He said, if the giants were 30 feet tall, if they were truly as tall as the cedars, what chance would they have at beating them? They would have been severely outmatched. These are almost literally this guy's words. I wish I would have written I wish I would have written it down word for word what this guy said. But I cannot find it. So that means I didn't write it. But that was the straw that broke the camel's back. I said, you've got to be kidding me. He literally did what these guys did. He doubted the power of God. He literally did it. What chance would the Israelites have had if these guys were 30 feet tall, 50 feet tall, 100 feet tall? What chance would they have had? Oh, boy. One thing this whole journey has shown to me is that God is a mighty God. He was able to create this whole thing, and then he was able to create giants and giant trees and giant mushrooms and giant birds and giant animals, and he created a snake that's as big as all the water. And he created a behemoth, a freaking dinosaur. It's a giant thing that's roaming around the world with a tail like a tree. God, through God, anything is possible. And you say, what chance did the Israelites have? And all the congregation lifted up their voice and cried, and the people wept that night. And all the children of Israel murmured against Moses and against Aaron. And the whole congregation said unto them, would God that we had died in the land of Egypt, or would God that we had died in this wilderness? And wherefore hath the Lord brought us into the land to fall by the sword, that our wives and our children should be prey? Were it not better for us to return to Egypt? And they said one another, let us make a captain, let us return to Egypt. And then Moses fell on his face, and let me see where else it was. If the Lord delight in us, he will bring us into this land and give it to us, a land which floweth with milk and honey. Only rebel not ye against the Lord, neither fear ye the people of the land, for they are bread for us. Their defense is departed from them, and the Lord is with us. Fear them not. But the congregation bade stone them with stones, and the glory of the Lord appeared in the tabernacle of the congregation before all the children. And he said, how long will these people provoke me? Oh, man, I will smite them with the pestilence and disinherit them, and will make of thee a greater nation and mighty of them. And Moses said, don't do it. Just don't do it. Shall kill the people in the nations which have heard the fame of, they will speak, saying, because the Lord was not able to bring his people in the land, he swore unto them. Therefore he has slain them in the wilderness. And now I beseech thee, let the power of my Lord be great, according as thou hast spoken, saying, the Lord is long-suffering and of great mercy. He was saying, just give them a chance. Just give them a chance, and I have pardoned according to the word, because of those men which have seen my glory and my miracles which I did, and have tempted me now these 10 times, and not hearkened to my voice. Surely they shall not see the land which I swore unto their fathers. But my servant Caleb, because Caleb was the one that got up, I will bring him into the land. How long will that evil's congregation have the murder? Saying to them, where was it at? It's down in here. Your children, so God said, because you have doubted, your children You and your carcasses, they shall fall in this wilderness, and your children shall wander in the wilderness for 40 years and bear your whoredoms until your carcasses be wasted. It's down in here somewhere. I gotta find it. Where I can't find it. It was in here where they said even the men which Moses sent to search the land, who returned and made all the congregation to murmur against him by bringing up a slander upon the land, an evil report, a slander. Even those men that did bring up the evil report upon the land died by the plague before the Lord. When you doubt the Lord, he's going to smite you. What was it? What was it when they first got out of Egypt? He saved these people through however many plagues, and they still doubted. And as soon as they got to the mountain where Moses went up to talk to God to get the 10 Commandments, and everybody was down on the bottom making the golden calf, and they were doing it for God. They were doing it for him. They said, let us make an image for our God that brought us out of Egypt so that we may worship him. And God saw it, and he said, nope. Killed them. 3,000 of them dead like it's nothing. You do not. Oh, thank you, Father. You just, when that guy said it in that video, I wanted to scream. That's what I wanted to do. I said, you are literally becoming those people. Your carcass shall be destroyed in the wilderness, and your children shall wander in the wilderness for 40 years until the whoredoms of your iniquity, or whatever it is. And that's the point where I stopped and said, I'm doing these videos. I'm doing it. And we're talking about this. Because before, I had the thoughts in my head where I was just like, what about this? What about that? I can't really prove this to you because, it is what it is. And I can't really prove, well, what about the covering of the hair, or what about Lot and the angels? What about the physical things? Because it was before I really did the math, or I really did the book work, the math. You hear me? What? It was before I really did the book work. And I was like, well, I don't know if I could prove that. Because I just after he said that, I started typing. I was on my phone, typing a comment on YouTube. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. But then it just came over me where I was like, no, you're right. I'm not going to call it out here. I'm going to do it right. I'm going to go read it first, make sure that I have what I'm going to have, make sure that it's right. I'm not going to use the books that are not the Bible. I'm going to use the actual Word of God, and I'm going to prove this. And did I prove it? That's up to you. That's on you. You figure that out. But what chance did the Israelites have? Oh. It's just funny. That was like the funniest line. Oh, I'm laughing so hard I'm crying. It was just the funniest. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. Yeah. And he went, it was like the guy even did the whole thing where he went back to the, well, it was just an evil report, where they were just lying about it. And, he was saying, well, just, the whole grasshopper thing is it's just poetic literature. And I said, dude, just read the next chapter. You, what chance do you have? If I could only have half the guts that Caleb had, right? Caleb was right. Send me in. Oh man. So that's all I got, really. That's all I got. Because just the whole thing, my books fell. That's all I got. Because it just the whole crux of this was that guy, man. He went there. He went there. And you don't go there. You don't question your father like that. And if he tells you blatantly, flat out to your face, that you have to go take down a 100-foot tall giant, let's do it. I'll tell you what. If I were there, because see, we don't have the plagues of Egypt to back us up. We don't. We have the word, and that's all he ever said. Just believe in the word. That's what Jesus said. Just believe in the word, because we're not going to do all these crazy nut job miracles for a while. You're just going to have to believe is what you're going to do. But we're going to, because this is the time of the Gentiles and it's the whole thing. But he said, all you have to do is believe. Believe in anything is possible. And we don't have that. We don't have those miracles in our face to be able to believe. Because I'll tell you what, if I somehow miraculously lived through every single one of those miracles, I'd walk out of there. I'd be like, man, I got the blood and the plagues and all the cows dying and everything else, and somehow we're still here. The water. Wait. You saw him part the Red Sea, and you still think he ain't gonna help you kill a bunch of giants? Man, that's crazy. It's crazy talk. That's crazy. That's crazy talk. I believe because I have seen miracles. I believe because I should be dead. There's many, many times where I should have lost a foot, or lost an arm, or lost an eye. There's many, many times where I've been able to come to this point. Car wrecks. I haven't been in car wrecks, but I mean, I avoided car wrecks. Being stupid drunk in the middle of the night, and waking up in the morning in my car side. I mean, I look at these things and I say, he kept me here for a reason. He kept me here with my health. I am what you consider morbidly obese, but my health is perfect. My blood sugar levels are fine. My blood pressure is fine. I don't have what I should have. I don't. But for some reason, he's kept me healthy. I don't know why. I'm here and I'm healthy, and thank God. But then he decided to wake me up. And all those things that, I took for granted, I finally looked at and I said, phew, there it is. That's what he was trying to show me. He kept me here for this reason. He did all this stuff to keep me level to a point. He gave me all those wicked sins that I did in order for me to be able to look back on and say, you're right, I was wrong. You're right, I was wrong. I admit that. He does that still to this day. Every single day, he shows me, you're right, Father, I was wrong. I can see that now. And that's where it is. Man, Dad, don't ever doubt that. For what they went through to be able to doubt that, manna falling from the sky. That's me crushing my water bottle. This is like the second water bottle now. I got a third one here. But he literally made food fall from the sky. He literally made water come out of a rock. But we can't be giants. he can do everything else for us, but we can't do giants. Giants ain't gonna happen. So that's it. That's all I got to say. You take it as it is. Anybody ever tells you that giants may not have been real, may not have existed, ask them those questions. These are simple questions. If anybody ever brings this stuff up to you, they ever talk about them not being physical, you ask them about Lot and the angels. Ask them about Abraham and the angels. If somebody says the spirit is spirit and flesh is flesh, and that angels can't reproduce because they're not physical beings, no, it says it right here that Lot was pulled, and these people went out of their way to try to get these angels. What about the covering of hair? If it was the sons of Seth that were going after the daughters of men because they were beautiful, then why isn't every woman supposed to cover her hair? Because of that. Because you're trying to keep everybody from seeing it, right? Not just the angels. Why did they go out of their way to say that? A lot of things that book goes out of its way to say. I can tell you a lot of other things that book goes out of its way to say. The book goes out of its way to say, do not worship me in the way that the pagans worship their gods, but you won't believe me. The book goes out of its way to say, do not go out into the forest and cut down a tree and bring it into your house and decorate it, but you won't believe me. It goes out of its way to say that. The book says, do not get on your knees and worship the sun, but you don't believe me. The book goes out of its way to tell you this stuff. That's the one thing about the Bible that just blows my mind. It goes so far out of its way to tell you this stuff, and nobody believes it. Nobody wants to do it. Nobody wants to follow it. Nobody wants to do anything with it. They just want to say, oh, I can go to church and I can believe in Christ and I don't have to read the book. Or I've read parts of the book. I read Revelations whenever I was at a birthday party with my girlfriends one time. Because it was scary. And we turned all the lights off and we read Revelations and it was... I did that. I only joke about that because we did that. I actually had a babysitter that we turned all the lights off and we lit candles and we read Revelations. Revelations was so scary whenever I was a kid. I mean, it was scary. It scared the crap out of me. I didn't want to touch it for a long time. And then I went back and read Revelations. I was like, oh, they're talking about now. They're talking about reality. They're talking about this. That's what they're talking about. Why was that so scary? You know why Revelations is so scary? Because at the end of Revelations, God wins. Revelations is scary to the people that are evil. The people that have evil in their hearts. The Revelations is scary. Oh, man. Am I saying that those girls I was with was evil? I don't know. I'm not going to say anything about it. I need to blow my nose. That's another quote you could take. You could take that to the bank. Revelations, the book of Revelations is scary to those people that have evil in their hearts. Because God wins at the end. What was the other one I did? There was another really good one. Oh, it was the first. It was the first being to ever put fear, or the first being to ever have fear in the world was the devil. And it's because he's the first one that ever had fear, is he's been trying to constantly put us into fear because he was the first, because he was afraid of having to live under us, is what it was. It's he wrote the end from the beginning. That's just life. I mean, that's just perfect. I don't have anything else. I mean, I have a lot. I have other stuff here. Jack and the Beanstalk stuff. It started with that. I was going to start talking about like Jack and the Beanstalk because we just watched a show where they had the magic beans and it was a gigantic tree that led up into the clouds where a giant lived. Jack and the Beanstalk or Jack the Giant Killer. There was another video where somebody was talking about Jack the Giant Killer, and I wanted to go through that, but I'm not going to do that. We might do that later. But then I have it written down here where we were going to back to the fee fi fo fum. I spilled the blood of an Englishman. They're cannibals. They eat people. It's all part of the thing. And you get that kind of stuff by doing this. That's not, even though it's in the Bible. It said it's a land that eats up the people. It calls them cannibals. They're giants. They're big as trees. And they eat people. It's in there. But this kind of stuff expounds on that. It expounds on it a lot, as a matter of fact. And, it's just, it's based upon what you want to do. How you want to take it. But then I had, the Paul Bunyan. We talked about the Paul Bunyan before, the Babe, the Blue Ox, which is the same exact thing as Gilgamesh, the story of Gilgamesh, where they're going through, it's Gilgamesh and Enkidu. Is that who it was? Gilgamesh and Enkidu, they're going through, I don't think it's Enkidu. Is it Enkidu? I don't remember. They're going to kill whoever the heck it was, and they're chopping down trees, and one fell. Giant trees. The giant trees of wherever it was. Had a great axe chopping down these trees. Came back and had to fight a big blue ox or big blue bull. There's truth. There's truth in every story. Truth in every story. Jack and the Beanstalk being like the Tower of Babel. Yeah. That's it. There's nothing else. I got some numbers on here, about 72. I'm not going to get into that. What was this one thing? I don't know where this came from, and this is something you can go look up for yourself, because I don't know. Nephilim is a fallen one, a feller. A feller. In our language, a feller is a feller of trees. Kind of like Paul Bunyan. Also goes along with something inside of, I think it was Jasher. Again, we're not using the Bible because we've done with that. Where they were talking about the angels. It's not in here. I think it's in Jubilees. Son of Circus. No. Talking about the angels using, or the angels being the ones that chop down the trees. I don't remember where it was. No. Shit. I don't know where it was. What was this? I just saw something interesting. When the proud giants perished. Okay, this is Apocrypha. I know this is one of those weird things. This is the Wisdom of Solomon. This is chapter 14, Wisdom of Solomon 14. We'll start 5. Nevertheless, thou wouldest not the works of thy wisdom should be idle, and therefore do men commit their lives to a small piece of wood, and passing the rough sea in a weak vessel are saved. For in the old time also, when the proud giants perished, the hope of the world governed by thy hand escaped in a weak vessel, and left to all ages a seed of generation. Interesting. I can't believe I actually found that, and I don't know if I've ever talked about that. That's why I make these little notes, because I go back to them and I'm like, wow, wow. I know it was in here somewhere. I just don't know. Giants. What's this one? But it was something about the angels cutting down the trees. And I could be thinking about something completely different. but it was what I it was what sparked my attention whenever because I was doing the Jack and the Beanstalk thing first, and the guy said Nephilim and Feller, and I was like, dude, that's good stuff. Her husband's spirit causing man to follow idols. Spirits go, no. Ishtar, nice. Days be shortened. Predictions of men worshipping stars? Really? Okay. Weeks of time. I got to go back through these. This and Enoch, because I know there's a lot more stuff in Enoch that I have not. This was when I first started, and there's so much more I've learned since this. I could probably go back through this and add like 50 more of these things, but yeah, I can't find it. It was something about the angels were used to chop down the trees. I don't know where it was. I don't have much else. One thing I wanted to show you though, just interesting, just interesting. Get rid of this. Get rid of the concordance. Mushroom rocks. We're gonna. The one thing I wanted to point out with this stuff though is that you want to talk about how small we are compared to the things that the people in the past used to do, like stuff like this or stuff like this. These would be, if you could consider this guy's probably 6 foot tall, 12 feet would be right about here, 20 feet would be right about here. This would be nothing to a guy that was 20 feet tall. Just saying. Like stuff like this, these would be nothing to a 20-foot tall person. And I'm not saying that's what it is. I'm not saying that's what it isn't. But these things are all over the world. These things don't make any sense. They don't make any sense because we look at them from a 6 foot tall viewpoint, 5 foot, 6 foot tall viewpoint, and there's no logic. There's no logic there whatsoever. It's just weird stuff that we cannot, a little tiny ass picture, that we cannot suss out. We don't know. But I was going to say, I have a perfect explanation as to why these things exist. Giants! Oh, crap. I did it again, didn't I? Let's rewind. Go back. So this was the stuff I was talking about, where all these big megalithic things, I was saying, if you don't want to believe in giants, you have these big, huge things like this. You have these big, huge things like this. And, just crazy stuff like this. These things would be like Legos to these people. You got to consider this person's probably 6 feet tall. 10 feet would be, 12 feet would be about here. 20 feet would probably be about here. This would be nothing for like 5, 6 foot tall people. Don't you guys love it when I screw up? I love it when I screw up. It just makes me feel so good. Stuff like this. This stuff makes no sense to us in our 6 foot tall, 5 foot tall world. I'm just going to keep repeating it now. But this stuff doesn't make any sense to us. But, I have a perfectly logical explanation. Look at the spirals. I have perfectly logical explanation. Look at this guy. That 5 foot, 6 foot tall. Okay, like I said, double that. It's right about there. That's about 12 feet. 12 feet tall right there. Even about 20 to 30 12 feet tall people could move this thing. But if you were 20 feet tall, that'd be nothing. You see what I mean? So, just make sure I'm still... Oh my God, I can't believe I did that. But this was just a thing that I just wanted to say, you can say that giants didn't exist. Okay, fine. I say they do. And I say they made all this crap. They made all this crap in far better ways than we ever possibly could. And it's still sitting there. And we just kind of gloss over it and say, well, it's nothing. Look at these. I don't know if you guys can see this picture. Can I even open this up? Yeah, look at this. Exploration of megalithic sites in India. Look at these little tiny ass people. Look at this big ass stuff. Now that could very well be because these doorways are big enough for them. But still, look at this. Look at this thing. Look at these archways. Look at these gigantic ass archways. I don't know. I don't know what to say about this. This just looks weird to me. But that was just a thing, like I said. And then this stuff right here. I pulled these up. These are mushroom rocks. These are interesting. Mushroom rocks are very, very interesting things. All you gotta do is Google it. Mushroom rocks right here. This is from Red Dead Redemption. Or no, it says Assassin's Creed. But yeah, just weird stuff. Why am I talking about mushroom rocks? Look at what they said. They said they were made because the wind eroded the rock from underneath it. Is it possible? Sure, it's possible. Why not? You know, I might believe it. I might believe it. You know, it's just things like this, things like that. It's possible. Anything's possible. You know what I think though? If the world was oxygenated, beyond oxygenated, way back in the past, and if there was a giant flood that flooded everything and turned everything to stone, you know what I think would happen? That I'm not saying that is what it is, but I do find that rather interesting. We talk about giant trees. We talk about giant plants. I'm not saying that's what it is. I'm not saying I'm not doing that because I can't prove it or deny it. I just think it's rather interesting that I saw that and then I was like, wow, you know, that helps. It helps to a point. This stuff right here, you know, that's just the erosion. This could be erosion. It could be very possible that this is just erosion. That's all it is. Or they could be giant mushrooms. Hell, I don't know. Look at this damn thing. Look at this. Look at this stuff. Look how tiny some of these stems are on this. And they're still holding up. You know, isn't it just weird? Isn't it just weird? It's all you can say is just weird. Somebody said mushroom rock, so they literally have mushrooms on rocks. Oi, all right, we're done. I gotta stop. I'm gonna go eat. I gotta go feed my dogs because my dog's right there. She's ready to go. Did you guys get anything out of it? I talked a lot. That was 2 hours. That was 2 hours straight. I had to cut up in 2 parts. Did you get anything out of it? Do you understand where I'm coming from? Yeah, like I said, this whole thing started because I went looking for videos on Nephilim and giants, and the first thing that popped up for whatever absurd reason was it was like the first 3 or 4 videos were anti-Nephilim and giants, and they were recent, the most recent, because I sort by most recent because that's a way to kind of kick past the YouTube algorithms. And I watched it and I said, no, that's not right. So I don't know. I don't know what else to say. I don't know where to go with it. I leave it in your hands. You know, look it up for yourself. Go tell other people. Go show other people. You know, talk about it. Talk about it. Just get it out there in the open. Talk about it. Get people to just see it. You know, just say, hey, have you heard about this? And if somebody gives you the whole Sethite theory thing where the sons of God were the sons of Seth, just ask them the questions. Just ask them the question. You don't have to get into an argument. Don't get into a debate. Don't go into something if you don't completely know what the hell you're talking about. Because I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. I'm just asking questions. Because it just doesn't seem to fit for me. And if it doesn't fit for you, ask a question. Just kind of figure it out. Because it doesn't look right. There's something not right going on there. I don't know. Somebody that knows the way to talk can probably talk circles around you, and I know somebody can talk circles around me. If I were to ever get into a debate with a true Bible scholar, I would lose every step of the way, but I would never be convinced unless they showed me 100%. And see, this is what I was saying before. I would never be convinced unless they showed me beyond a shadow of a doubt that if I could take it and read it for myself, and if I could see it and I would say, oh, that's what that means, that's what that is, then we could go with that. But if they can't do that, then you have to ask questions. And it's okay to have questions. Don't ever let these people say that you're psychotic for having questions. Because everything now is turning into, if you question anything, you're a bad person. Don't ever let them do that. So I'm going to stop. I'm going to go get some food. I'm going to take my dancing beard, because I've been sitting here watching this thing jiggle all day. It's getting long. It's this lockdown has made my beard grow and my belly grow. Yeah, we'll talk more about stuff. I'm going to get back into this kind of stuff because I can't keep looking at the CV-19 all the time. It drives you crazy. We know what's coming. We know what's coming, and we know what's happening. If you're going to rebel, you better start doing it now. Because mandatory everythings are right outside the door, and you better be prepared to stand up for what you believe. This isn't about rebelling against anything. I've heard a lot of guys say, if you rebel against us, you rebel against God. No. God says to fight the evil. It doesn't mean you have to go out and kill everybody and hurt everybody. It means that you have to stand up for what you believe. The book literally says those that do not take the mark will move on, yada, yada, yada. In order to not take the mark, it means you have to either escape it or fight it. Am I wrong? Or die for it. There's three options. You either run, you fight, or you die. Right? It's the only way you do not take it. Make your choice. That's all I gotta say. You guys, be well. Be well. Thank you for coming around. That's all I gotta say. I ain't got anything else. God bless you guys. You guys take care. Be safe. Don't let them tell you otherwise. You stand by those convictions. Stand by your beliefs. Stand by it. Don't let them offer you in anything. Don't let them force you in anything. Stand by your beliefs. I am out.